Welcome back for another video. A captaincy blank, but a green arrow thankfully. 55 points all out last game week, so small green arrow to 6.7k. A couple of players completely carried the game week. I mean, Martinez with 9 points, Eze with 10. Fortunately, Mbeumo only scored 5 points in the end, because he was the other captain that I was considering. Just 3 points dropped there, so not massive. Vardiol with a clean sheet, while Burn and Saliba conceded. Wan-Bissaka's 7 points from the bench, a bit painful as well. I had him starting in the team selection video as well, so the last minute tinkering cost me. Basically, Newcastle and West Ham had equal clean sheet odds, and I kind of boiled it down to just backing the better team with more to play for. But yeah, Wan-Bissaka, he did lose the clean sheet early on, but then he did assist Bowen's goal and he got some bonus points. Well done if you captain KDB or Bowen or Isak. Like, it was a game week where there was loads of genuinely good choices and there's little to separate them, and yeah, a few picks like Marmish and Mbeumo disappointed overall, and Salah actually. If you got it right, then it made a big difference last week. Let's have a look at some of your highs and lows sent in from Gameweek 35. Gadfly's got a question for you all, so we'll go with him first. He says, I went against the double Gameweek sheep for my bench boost and it looks okay here, but I'm a firm believer that your actual bench boost is your lowest scoring keeper and lowest scoring 3 outfield players, and he says therefore this is a 5-point bench boost in my view, not 21 points, and he asks, do you agree or disagree? So I'm going to weigh in on that one. I think in my opinion, surely the bench boost is whoever you actually would have benched that week, rather than just whoever your lowest scoring players were. Yannick is closing in on an all-timer comeback. He was 600k in the world in Game Week 20, and he's now 13k after another good game week. He scored 70 points, and he halved his rank from 26k to 13k, well in. Daniel took a -8, and he finished on 32 points, or 24 after the hits. Honestly, a solid team as well, which is quite scary, because it can happen to any of us, even if you think you've got a good team. Like Wissa and Mbeumo, his only returns of the game week, 24 points net. Arshish says he took out Marino and Mateta for Mbeumo and Vardy from -4 and finished on 80 points after the hit. Absolutely smashed it, well played. And I'm glad at least one manager out there started Wan-Bissaka. And lastly, Ben, who says, this season I think my bench would be top 10k. 41 points all out he got, but he had Tielemans with 11 on the bench, Van Dijk and Konsa with 6 pointers, plus Henderson's 3 for a 26 point bench. Thanks everyone for sending in. So in case you missed it, Villa's Game Week 37 fixture against Spurs has moved to Friday 16th of May, and this means it's going to remain in Game Week 37, so no double game weeks for Villa or Spurs. So that's it for the rest of the season, just 3 single game weeks ahead of us now. The FA Cup finalists had their games moved a few days backwards to Tuesday in Game Week 37, so a single game week for them. I was kind of rooting for a double Game Week 36, having picked Martinez and Rodgers, while leaving that third spot open for Watkins, but it wasn't to be. Let's get into the team for Game Week 36 and transfer plans. It's another start for Martinez this week. Every season there's those heroes that make a big difference in your team when you use them sparingly, and if he can keep another clean sheet then he's that player for me. Strand Larsen I think is the other one who I had for a really long run when he was like 1% owned, when João Pedro was the template budget forward. I think there's some other players I'm forgetting as well. Like Jose Sarr actually, 12 pointer on the free hit last week. That was pretty legendary with a penalty save. Are there any players who have been heroes in your team this season, besides the obvious like Salah? Let us know in the comments. My defence is pretty grim this week. Vardiol, who's like 91% owned in the top 10k, so almost no rank gain from him. And then it's Burn who's home to Chelsea, Konate home to Arsenal. I'm not sure if a Vardiol clean sheet actually does me any favours, because obviously there's some managers that have got Ruben Diaz as well. And yeah, when Vardiol's 90+% owned around me, it's actually a small rank drop if anything, if he keeps a clean sheet, which is crazy. However, what he does individually does help, and if he can chip in with an attacking return against bottom of the league Southampton, that would be huge. Let's see if we see him in left back next match as well. After Akanji came on last game, we saw Vardy move to that favoured position. So here are your Game Week 36 clean sheet odds. Forest atop this week, 49.5% chance, and then it's Man City 45%. Burn's been given just a 25% chance, Konate 29%. So I look at this and I've got 2 choices this week. Option 1 is to sell one of those 2 and improve my defence this week. Option 2 is just to leave it and hope to get lucky and look to use a transfer elsewhere in a midfielder or an attacker. Like Forest defenders are really tempting. I know they've been a bit off it as of late, but Leicester home is still a fixture that I'd fully back them in. Konate, an unused substitute last match, but I'm fully expecting him to start the next one personally against Arsenal. I mean, Kwanzaa had a game to forget, didn't he? An unfortunate own goal, but also giving away a penalty as Liverpool lost 3-1 at Stamford Bridge. I think Slot might go with a stronger 11 all round for this one, but let's see. In midfield, it's Sarr, Eze, Mbeumo and Salah. So, Mbeumo captain this week against an already relegated Ipswich side. Target those bottom three in the final game weeks wherever you can. That's my plan with all my remaining transfers. Their defensive data is just miles worse than the other 17 teams in the league. All About FPL did a nice piece of analysis on Mbeumo and Wissa's records against the bottom three. Have a look at this. Mbeumo's played 5 times and he's got 7 goals, 2 assists, averaging 12.8 points per game against them. Wissa's got 5 goals, 2 assists in 5 games and he's averaging 9 points per game. In fact, the two of them have blanked once all season against the bottom three, and Ipswich is their last and final game against the bottom three. It's another week. I think there's not really a standout captain pick. Like Salah home to Arsenal's got potential. There's Isak, Marmoush, Wissa, Bowen, KDB, etc. They could all do great. So again, back yourself if there's a particular player you fancy. For me, it's Mbeumo. Spurs play midweek ahead of Gameweek 36, of course, on Thursday, which hopefully does Palace some favours. So I'm running with the double Palace midfield this week. Is there anything better than when one of your players assists one of your other players? Like honestly, if I see goal Eze assist Sarr, I'm going to absolutely lose it this week. I got away with one last week benching Sarr for Mateta as well. 0.05 XGI for Mateta, 1.01 XGI for Sarr, who really should have returned. He had one big chance and he created 2 chances for teammates. He really will be an absolute beast if he improves his finishing. Like, he's got 15.2 expected goal involvement this season. Only Salah, Palmer, and Mbeumo and Bruno have registered a higher tally among midfielders, and obviously we consider those high caliber players. So we've got confirmation that Eze's back on penalty duties last match, which adds to his appeal as well. He of course missed one a few game weeks ago and I had him for that, which was painful, so I guess the redemption arc is closed. Obviously Mateta missed one in his FA Cup game, so it's gone back to Eze, who converted last match. As I mentioned, unsurprisingly, the relegated 3 are the bottom 3 for expected goals conceded. 4th worst this season is Spurs. Just 1 goal, 1 assist in Salah's last 6 games. Are any of you considering selling him? Just 24 points over the last 6. 49 players have got more points than Salah over that run. Just ahead of him is Ramsdale and Cielo and Iwobi for points over the last 6. It's probably too much of a luxury move in my situation. Like Brighton in Gameweek 37, Palace Gameweek 38, it's not bad either. But yeah, Arsenal this week is a potential excuse to sell him. I would still back him to get a couple of returns in the running personally, so I'm happy enough to keep. If there's a leak in the deadline stream that KDB starts, then that could be a very popular switch this week. Up front it's Isak, Marmoush and Mateta. Isak's another one who at this stage of the season is just too much of a luxury sell, even though there's some difficult fixtures in there. If I was wildcarding, I'd actually have a totally different front 3. It'd be Watkins, Wissa and Wood. Last game week was a reminder really just how powerful penalty takers can be in FPL. He didn't have the best game, but all he needed was 1 penalty and then he scooped up maximum bonus points as well. And yeah, I think we're going to have to adjust our perception on that next season, because of course they changed BPS this season for the first time in many years, and it now punishes defenders severely for conceding, right? -4 BPS for each goal conceded by a defender. And a shot on target was increased to 2 BPS gained. I mean, who remembers Justin's brace against Arsenal Game Week 6? A defender brace is incredibly rare, but he got no bonus points for that. Whereas Isak, he scores a penalty and he gets 3 extra points for it. Do you think the changes are good or does it need some rebalancing? Like Trent, he's the top scoring defender still, 146 points. So yeah, the knock-on effect is defenders have scored fewer points. Man City have got the joint early kickoff, so we'll hopefully get some confirmation that our Man City assets are all starting. If Marmoush doesn't start, then I'll consider selling him. He's been a frustrating pick, hasn't he? Like, he had a blank as my captain in that double game week. A blank last match as well against Wolves, where he didn't have the best game. Of course, the elephant in the room is Haaland's back as well. Whether he starts is another question. It wouldn't be surprising if he was on the bench again, given he was an unused sub last match. If it's possible, I mean, Pep's going to want him to be ready for the FA Cup final, so I think he will be involved in some capacity this game. My bench is Raya, Rodgers, Saliba and Wan-Bissaka. 1 free transfer, 2.3 million in the bank. I'm going to keep it simple this week. On the one hand, Mateta does have Spurs, which is a fixture that I really like. I do have the two mids though, and at the end of the day, Wissa against Ipswich is even better, so my plan is to make that switch. It's not just on paper better, but it's the final 3 fixtures as well. Like Mateta, he's got Wolves in Gameweek 37, and that's going to be a few days after the FA Cup final, so what's his minutes going to look like there? Will he definitely start? Probably will, comes off early maybe, and they've got Liverpool away in Gameweek 38, so it's the logical move this week. If there is a leak that Marmish is benched, then I've got a choice to sell him instead of Mateta, or I could sell Mateta regardless and just start Rodgers against Bournemouth, which isn't bad. I have considered Wood and Watkins as well. Wood's obviously home to Leicester, and that's an incredible fixture in fairness. Watkins was firmly my thinking, but that early sub last match, at about 70 minutes, despite no Rashford, was a bit of a surprise and a bit concerning. Maybe he's carrying a knock. I think he's great if you've got him already, but I just look at the forwards and I think Wissa's probably even better, and maybe Wood as well. I still think he's a solid choice. Obviously in Game Week 37, they're going to have Spurs, who will potentially have just played the Europa League final a few days before that, and Villa have got Man United Game Week 38 as well. Brentford are just really impressing right now, so I'm happy to stack up on 2 attackers. I'm going to have to pull up those stats one more time as well. And Mbumo's got 7 goals, 2 assists in 5 versus the relegated 3 teams. Wissa's got 5 goals, 2 assists in 5 games against them. So there's literally 1 out of a possible 10 blanks in there. Beyond that, I'd like to roll in Game Week 37. The plan would be to take 2 free transfers into Game Week 38 and hopefully load up on Bournemouth players who've got Leicester home. Although my defence is really poor this week, fortunately it looks better in Game Week 38. I don't have the likes of Munoz against Liverpool to deal with. And yeah, I'd love to have a Forest defender this week, but at least I don't have to play them against Chelsea home in Game Week 38 and so on. So yeah, I'm in a position where I can afford to buy 2 Bournemouth attackers. Thanks for watching. Before you go, hit subscribe so you don't miss the final 2 team selection videos to come. Good luck next game week. See you soon for the next one.